Nehal, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
Doing pretty well. We have a really exciting audience here. It is all you, so good luck.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you for having me, and let's jump right into it. So this is from a media buying standpoint, what I'm about to show you right now. This is the underlying DNA. This is the way to operate. This takes all of this tactical implementation, levels it up to a strategy level, and allows you to execute and have breakthrough. So quick overview in terms of what we do at AdPros. We work with obsessive founders who want total market domination. And so at AdPros, we're a growth partner integrating creative studio as well as media buying teams to unlock these four levels of 1 million a month. And so we do creatives, we do media buying, and then this DNA. And so what we learned is that most of our clients don't actually have goals beyond like make more money. And so what we did was we gamified the whole process, which is there's four levels to 1 million a month, million a month in revenue, million a month in ad spend, gross margin, and net margin. And this is a multi-year journey. And so when you look at most businesses, they want to get to 8 figures, but does that actually dictate the quality of the business or how profitable it is or how much that business is worth? And usually the answer is no. So we go beyond the superficial side and go to top line and bottom line metrics. And so that is what we do in a nutshell. And then here are some of the clients that we've worked with. So this process I'm about to show you works with the $10 million businesses, 25 all the way up to $100 million companies. So just in the chat, if you can let me know, who are you? Are you a founder? Are you a marketer? Or are you an agency? If you can just let me know in the chat, because that's going to dictate the type of conversation that we have here.
Jen Byers
Agency.
just
Okay.
hopped in as an agency.
The thing that we've learned is that like one breakthrough in a business is cool. A lot of the time, honestly, it's luck. It happens, and then it doesn't really lead to the next breakthrough. It's just a breakthrough. And so what we've seen is that if you're able to have breakthrough after breakthrough, that is epic, and there's a way to actually get that. And this is how we have our breakthroughs. This is the overall mindset, the approach to getting breakthroughs on breakthroughs to go from just 1 million a month in revenue to then million a month in ad spend and onwards. And so you'll see the way that we're executing this is that for each of these areas, there's 9 areas that we're going to talk about. And I have 30 minutes, so we're going to get through as much of this as humanly possible. And there's the design, execute, and optimize. So we're going to go through each one, and I'm going to give you 9 questions to assess yourself to see exactly where you are in your business, whether you're an agency, marketer, etc. So the first part is the actual design stage. And so we're going to discuss the direction of the business from a design, decide, and declare. And then you'll see the execute side. We're going to go through how to define how to get there, prioritize, and then actually doing it. And then the last part is optimize, which is the review, adjust, and cancel. And to put it all together is the recommit part. And so that's what we're going to go through right now. So this is going to be relatively fast paced. We're going to figure out how to get slides to you. And if you can DM me on Twitter or Instagram, I'll get those to you or give them to Autumn as well. But I want you to take screenshots through this process, at least so you have it. We'll also get you the slides, but this is meant to be a faster paced presentation. So it all comes down to what is it that you're actually trying to solve for. So each of these areas, there's an underlying question. The underlying question for the first section is, where are we going? So we're going to design, decide, and declare. And the next part from the execution side is, how do we get there? And then from an optimization standpoint is, are we getting there? Like, are we there yet to what we decided on where we're going? And so this is the overall methodology of how to approach it. And now let's actually get into it. The takeaway for you is, aim for one takeaway that you can implement right after this. This is a very deep topic to actually go through this whole process. It's very, very intense, but I just want you to take at least one thing and implement. So first part is direction. Where are we going? And so the 3 Ds here that are outlined, first is design your dream business, decide on the milestones towards your dream business, and then declare that vision to the team. And so most brands that we work with, it's it's usually starts with, we want to make more money, we want to hit more revenue, or we want to get new customers, that kind of stuff, and that's cool. The businesses that go beyond that, that are at 25, 50, 100, they're talking about, are we a cash flow business or are we designing this business to sell? That changes the whole vibe of how you operate and what success means to you. From there, of like, how much distributions do I want? What valuation multiplier do I want in the business? How much revenue? What's my MER target? How much do I want in contribution margin and net profit? And so when the vision is unclear, the execution is very tricky. And so depending on your role in the business, whether you're the founder, whether you're a marketer for the business, or you're an agency, this directly impacts everyone, which is, what is the successful version of the business that we're working on? And so what I want you to do, if you are inside of the business, I'm the founder or marketer, take these numbers and answer these questions if you don't already have answers to them, which is, are we a cash flow business or are we a valuation business? That changes the direction. Then if you are a valuation, what is the goal that you have for the valuation in terms of the total valuation and the multiplier? And then the additional numbers of operational metrics of what you want in the business. After you do this part, it might seem trivial or it might seem obvious. Like, of course, we have some metrics, but are the metrics clear? That's first. Then do you have the milestones towards your business? Oh, we want $100 million business, or we want $25 million. What is, and if you're at $5 million, what is the next milestone? The next milestone is not go from 5 million to 25 million. The next milestone might be to go from 5 million to 7.5 or to 10 in terms of a significant milestone. And for each of these milestones, there must be clear metrics outlined so that you're able to communicate to the team and yourself of, are we actually getting there? And we'll get to that here shortly. But from a revenue standpoint, MER, net contribution margin, net income, and any owner distribution, depending on what the goal is of the business. And then milestones from there, right? So if you're at 100K per month, the next milestone is 200. The one after that is 400. But it's not just about top line all the way down to bottom line. Once you decide those, before that, if you want to go, if you're a high performer or are want to push this to another level, you must understand where you're at to design where you want to go. So what we found is, we just hire fractional CFOs or consultants, get them to do a series of financial statements, take a screenshot of this and send this to your current financial person. If they're not able to do this, or they don't care to learn how to do this, get someone who's actually willing to. We just find that financial teams, they're not interested in going above and beyond, and it is what it is. We are, and so we're going to get the help to get us there. And so these are some of the analysis that helps us with that process. And then so now you have metrics for your business. You have decided that you want to hit these specific milestones. You must declare it to the team. This is an ongoing process, and this is for, especially if you've never set goals or like communicated to the team, this is very scary, because you're saying, we're going to hit this number no matter what. You've probably been hit by iOS 14, like a lot of us were. And then there's challenges with Facebook going down, or different platforms not performing, or TikTok not performing, whatever the case is. It's like, it doesn't matter. This is where we're going. This is what we've agreed to. Let's go all in on that direction and do whatever it takes to execute towards the vision as well as the milestones to get there. And so what we found here is, you schedule a call, create a presentation, tell them that this is where we want to go, and then commit to it. If you look at how championships are earned, it's that they decide on that goal before the season starts. And then we're talking about the championship the whole time. And so if the team doesn't know where we're going, it's a challenge for sure. And if you don't tell them where they're going, superstars will definitely get lost and then leave. And so if you're listening to this, answer these 3 questions for the first part of this process, which is, do you have goals with metrics? These questions might seem very simple. I'm telling you, most people don't do this, no matter the size of the company. They're not very clear. And if they're not clear to you, they're definitely not clear to the team. So the first part is, do you have goals with metrics outlined of what is a successful business for you? Then what is your next milestone? Is that clear? Because even if you want a $25 million business or whatever the number is, are the milestones actually clear? And then from there, have you told the team that this is where we're going? That has also made a massive impact on just direction and actually getting everyone to buy in. And this is the foundation of understanding where are you going. All of the media buying implementation, all the presentations that have been going on so far, incredible content that would go into this process. So first is where are we going? And then the actual trickle down to what a media buyer does, what we test from a creative standpoint, what offers and funnels that we're using, and what we're overall optimizing start from here. And this took me a really long time to understand, which is if you kind of sort of design your business, except you have it, it's way easier to fix with this mindset than pretending that it's, well designed. If you don't feel really good about it, it's okay, accept it, and then take the steps that we're talking about here to actually get clarity to move on to the next step. And so the next step is execution. How do we actually get there? Now that you know that where you're going, how do you actually get there? And so the steps here are the defining, prioritizing, and the actual of the doing part. And so defining how to get there is the plan. If you know that you're at 100,000 a month in revenue and you want to get to 200,000, or you're committed to getting to 200,000 with your next milestone, what is your plan to get there? Honestly, for some of our clients that we've worked with, it's just spending more money and continuing testing, and that's it. And that might be great. Like for a lot of the businesses we work with, it happens as simply as that. We're in a situation right now where one of our clients is generating $4 million a month. So we took them from 400,000 a month in revenue to $4 million a month. And now our next target is 5.5 million a month. In order to do that, the level of complexity required, because we've exhausted so much of what we've done, now we have to go to the next level of thinking on the next plan that's going to add another 1.5 million a month in revenue. And so that's the definition, prioritization, and doing. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So as a founder, as a marketer, as an agency, there's always distractions that are going to take away from your plan. If you have a plan, great. If you don't have a plan, it creates even more confusion of what do I do next? And so for us, what we've seen from a growth side is that ads stop working, or not performing at the same level of efficiency. Creative stop working, team members leave, agencies, different people are like stop performing, businesses become less profitable, especially the last 2 months. We've been hearing and seeing a lot of it, of businesses not doing as well for a lot of reasons. And then as leaders in the company, you need to micromanage everything. And so we simplified it, and it comes down on the growth side, especially to these 7 areas. If you look at the average media buyer, they are stuck and focused on number 5 and number 6. What is the ad going to say? And then what is the ad setup or the optimization to get the right ad get the right ad in front of the right customer? And that's it. The time invested in the offer, avatar, funnel, the nurturing process, and the underlying data for tracking for decision making usually gets ignored. And then the amount of effort put in the ad and ad optimization eventually plateaus. And so what happens is, depending on the challenge that you have, you decide on what projects that you actually work on. And so I'm going to show you the advanced version of this, but the simple version of this first, if you don't know what projects you're working on or don't have a clear list of activities to get to your next breakthrough, the easy part here is start with one project per lever. So an example of this is that your conversion rate keeps going down. It's happening to a lot of brands right now. And so if the conversion rate is going down because you're maxing out on specific channels or whatever the case is, number 3, which is your funnel. And so choose one project on your funnel and then decide on the metric you're going to optimize. It could be the full conversion rate, it could be click to add to cart, it could be add to cart to purchase, whatever your metric is from a funnel standpoint. And then you're going to decide in your team who's going to own that metric, and then a due date to execute that. Now, this is about media buying, but your media buying is not done in a silo. There's other elements, in this case levers, that affect your performance of your media buying. And so if you feel like honestly you've maxed out your creatives, your copy, what you're doing inside of platforms, it's because you're ignoring some of these other parts. All right. The example here would be, I want to increase conversion rates from 2.4% to 2.6%, or whatever the actual metric is in your brand. The more advanced version, or the more intense version of this, is that for a client, we have 3 objectives. If you're familiar with OKRs, there's 3 objectives. We have 9 metrics that we're going after, that we've broken the whole business down into 9 metrics from those 9 metrics, we have right now about 41 projects that we're going through and looking at which projects that we actually want to work on. And then we have a team of about like extended team of about 10 to 15 people who are going to execute this project over a quarter. And so the simple version is here are the 7 areas. Choose one project per area, ideally, especially the areas that need the most help. Execute those and see how you can actually solve individual problems for the next breakthrough. Once you've done that process over and over again, the expectation decreases of how big of a return you're going to get per item or per your activity. And then you have to look for the next breakthrough. And so, and the next big breakthrough. So once you have those, then you just have to do the plan. And that is the act of just executing. So that's beyond this. So the questions here are, again, answer, do you have a plan? Honestly, there's no like judgment here. There's no one like questioning you. It's up to you and integrity with yourself of like, do I have a plan to get to my next breakthrough? If you don't, then you don't. If you do, great. Then you can move to the next one of what is my priority of execution of this plan? And then am I following this plan? It's like if you have a beautiful plan, but you're not following it, that's where you need to focus from these 9 areas. Now that we've talked about where are we going, then it's how do we get there? We get to go to, are we getting there? Are we there yet? Which is the optimize phase. And here, this is really confrontation with self in the sense of like, am I willing to look at what my performance is? And this is a very challenging part for anyone, but it's like you have to look at your performance, and there has to be a way to see if you're actually making progress, to be honest and to have integrity with yourself on your own performance. Because at the end of the day, if you are committed to designing your dream business and you're executing it and then it's still not happening, this is probably why, because there's no feedback cycle here. So now that you're implementing all of these media buying strategies, creative strategies, offers, funnels, everything is getting executed. Is any of it working? This is the purpose of this. So there's a process to review your progress, adjust your plan, and get counsel, especially number 9. Hopefully will blow your mind of the type of person who can help you, and probably the blind spots that you have right now that for other people is where their genius is. So I'm going to show you that right now. So in the previous slide, we talked about the dream, the vision of your business, as well as milestones. So we outlined a handful of metrics. Again, then there's the milestone of like, how do we know in terms of the next goal that we're going after? And the step after that is you decided on the vision, you know the metrics, you know the milestones. Now is, are you actually, like, how are you actually doing? And this comes down to a scoreboard. And this one hit me the first time like I heard this, which is winners want to know how much they're winning. Losers accept they've already lost. And so I looked at my business at that time and I realized I'm not looking at my own metrics because I didn't want to confront them. And I didn't want to know how much I was losing in specific parts of the areas. And so I used that as motivation. I created a scoreboard. That scoreboard has evolved many, many times in the business. And if you don't have a scoreboard, or you don't look at your scoreboard, or you don't optimize your own scoreboard, it's because you don't want to know how much you're winning. That's just the core of it. And so if you want to win more, you must look at your scoreboard. And so for us, the way that we do this is we have weekly reviews in terms of how well we're doing or not. There's a report, and we prefer to do these on calls because we can have better conversations instead of a Slack update. It's more meaningful. We streamline the metrics to the vision, so they're connected. This is not like, this is what we want in the business, but then we're just looking at what's happening inside of Facebook, for example, and then what are the action steps per call. And from there, we're able to see and just have, non-emotional conversations of what are the metrics we're successful with, where are we failing, and what metric, where are we actually going to focus. And this way that we have a conversation that's forward, facing and constructive on performance and solution oriented to figure out what is next. And when you're here and you're doing the reviews and you know what to focus on and you're still not getting a breakthrough, the next part of it that could be helpful is getting external help. And for us, especially, one call has definitely changed my life many, many times, which is counsel. One call that is $100 to $1,000 definitely can change your business. And I want to give you ideas on what you can do and where you can get help from. Where this starts is if you do not have the humility to ask for help, it is no one's going to come to your doorstep and help you with from a financial standpoint, operation standpoint, media buying, whatever the case is. It comes down to having the humility first of like, I am stuck. I need help. Once you're able to admit that, then you can ask higher quality questions of where do I need help? I need help with from a CFO because my bookkeeper is doesn't care. It doesn't know what EBITDA is, which happened to one of our clients, and it isn't doing any kind of analysis and reporting. And so we hired our own CFO, got a couple of assessments from them, and completely changed the clarity in the business. And it took like 2 hours. And those 2 hours would have probably taken me so much longer, or I wouldn't have done it at the same level just because I'm not a CFO, right? And so the purpose of this slide is take a screenshot of this slide, ask where do you need help? Send this slide to your team, and I would do like 3 calls if you want. Ideally, what we like to do is choose one area and choose 3 people in that same area so you can triangulate because they're going to say the same things, and then you get the actual variability from each person. And like we like a couple of things from each person. That's what we did. We're media buyers, and still we get other media buyers to look at our stuff. One of our accounts went from like 200,000 a month in spend to right now it's about 700,000 a month just on Google. And we did that by speaking to 3 Google media buyers. Phenomenal use of our time and the return for ourselves and our clients. And so if you don't have a CFO problem or a financial problem, don't hire a CFO. But the purpose of this is there are blind spots you have. Don't get support just in case, do it just in time. That's the difference from our education that has made such an impact in our execution, because we're not learning just in case. We want to do it just in time for the problem we have right now to allow the next breakthrough. That's one lens. The other lens is the ad scorecard. If you guys have an amazing media buyer, amazing creative team, everything is working in platform and you're still stuck, you might need to get someone to look at your offers, look at your funnel. And if one of our clients hasn't changed their homepage for like 3 years, it's crazy. I won't say more than that, but we're working on it. And so, but they've launched a bunch of landing pages for whatever reason. There's a block around the homepage. And so if the funnels aren't getting adjusted, it's one of those things of like, okay, let's hire 3 CRO guys to look at our stuff, get 3 audits, and then from there we can see who we actually trust and who's giving the best information, have another team implement it. You've hopefully had opportunity and more at bats to have a better breakthrough when it comes to your CRO or whatever the problem is that you're having. The point is, if you don't know where you're stuck based off of what we're talking about here, that's a very deep problem that needs to get fixed. Once you do know where you're stuck, then it comes down to who is it that can help you break through, whether it's your internal team, agencies, expert counsel, advisors, etc. It comes down to the quality of your questions. So the quality of your answers are dependent on the quality of your questions. And if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're asking the wrong questions. So last time, answer these questions. So how do you currently review progress and metrics? If you do not, it's okay. You can solve that. The purpose is creating awareness so you can actually attack it. Next is, how do we improve our plan? We don't actually have an improvement process. We just kind of keep doing what's happening right now, and maybe that's the honest answer. Or you have a phenomenal improvement process, but you have a talent problem somewhere else, or you have the wrong people executing. So it's just important. What's working, what's not. Who is helping our plan become even better? And this took me a really long time to actually start executing, and it just makes life a lot easier. So counsel is beautiful. So let's put it back all together. First is the actual direction, then it's execution, and then optimization. And throughout this process, you're recommitting back to what you initially committed to, which is the design, the milestones and the decision that you made, and then the commitment that you made to the team, which is like, we're going to hit this number. If you need to change that, whatever, that's a different conversation. But this is the process of going through the direction of the execution and the optimization and doing it over and over and over again. And our perspective is we want to accelerate failure. We want to accelerate failure so that we can win more. We love failing. We want to increase the volume of our failures so we can get to the other side. And most brands, the mindset is more so, let's be perfect and let's make sure this works every time. That's not our approach at all. And so to take you through the 9 questions again, the overarching questions are one, where are we going? Then how do we get there? And then are we getting there? Those are like the high level three questions. The actual way that this breaks down is, do you have goals and metrics that you're going towards? Do you have milestones? And have you told the team? You can say yes or no to these, kind of sort of if you want in between, but really it's just like yes or no. And if all of these are no, important to know that. And if some of these are, it is what it is. And then, do you have a plan? Does the plan have an order? Have you been following it? Again, this is just for your journal later tonight on where you actually stand in your business. And then, do we review progress and metrics? Do we have a way to improve our plan? And who can help us make a better plan? That is the process to actually win championships, to have breakthroughs systematically, instead of just because you got a random hack for a little bit, or like TikTok CPMs were cheap, or whatever the case is, or like our manual bidding strategy is working. It's like, that's not going to create the infrastructure for $100 million company or 25 million, whatever the goal is. That's not how this works. You need a system to break through over and over again. We've done this process for scaling brands up to 4 million a month that we were spending for one of our clients. Another one we took to 400,000 to 4 million a month, and another one that we 10x their spend as well in a pretty short period of time. So if you guys are looking for a media buying agency, creative studio, that's where to go, at pros.com/apply. And then I have a more advanced version of this, also, of course, free. Just message me or DM me on DTCx, and I'll send that over to you on Twitter or Instagram. I crushed time, Autumn.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Nahal. If
You
somebody
got it.
messages you, can they get this deck itself as well as the more
Yeah,
advanced one?
yeah. I'll send it.
Awesome. And then one question from Solar: for a brand just starting out, what is like a resource, book, podcast, article, etc., that you would recommend every founder read to be able to understand and set up a system like what you just described?
There's an OKR book. I think it's called like what measure what matters. I think it's just like, I just found it really depressing. I didn't like, it was really dry for me. There's a great breakdown of OKRs. I would highly recommend reading that. And I can see if I can put in the link here. It's from Purdue, and this changed my life. Which is the I'll put it here in the chat, in terms of the goal framework on deciding on how to get anything you want. Like, I really value underlying systems to get me what I want, instead of just like hacks. Hacks are cool. All the guys who are doing really well in business, they have like systems to do it. And so that was, I think it's more so just a commitment of like, how do you look at systems, and what is a meaningful system for me? And then execute that as the standards keep going up.
Love that. And then question for me, you mentioned that you really want to set these hard deadlines, or like these hard kind of goals. What happens if a brand or an agency doesn't meet that goal in the timeline that they set? Would they just kind of start the process over again, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, this is a lifelong process. Like, as long as you're working on the brand, it doesn't end, right? Like, there in sports there are seasons, right? In the business space there are quarters, and so there's 4 quarters. Every quarter is like a reset, and so we're at the end of one now. And so like, we're working on this right now from a performance culture standpoint. Like, we want closure of like, how do we do at the end of this month? How do we do at the end of this quarter? One of our clients, we're up 74% in their business in like year to date. That is amazing. We have other clients who are like flat, basically. And we need to have those like metrics to keep ourselves honest and know how we're actually doing. And that's, it's not always fun, especially when things are flat or negative, but we also want to know when things are good.
Love that. It kind of reminds me of that Edison quote. I think it was, I haven't failed 2,000 times. I've just learned 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Um, kind
Yeah.
of seems like you're saying,
And
it's okay to fail as long as you keep making a change.
Yeah, on that topic, just from a tactical standpoint, so we have a testing engine. Our perspective is there is testing capacity for every business. We did an audit for a client recent or a prospective brand, and they were testing 30 creatives a month. There, with the testing methodology we have, they can actually test about 200 creatives a month with all variations and based off of their budget. And if they didn't know what their capacity was, and they didn't realize they're only testing like 15, they're maximizing 15% of their testing capacity. It's not about like hitting 200 creatives a month. It's about if we're only hitting 30, are we maximizing that? And even for us, our target is we want 25%. That means 75% of them lose. Like we don't really talk about that in the media buying space. It's like the
Mhm.
goal is how do we increase the actual like at bats and from a production standpoint, then how do we increase the actual win rates from what we're doing? And then for us, after you're maximizing both, now you have more winners in your business to scale from your scaling campaigns. Most like that's not usually the environment when it comes to how people look at testing or winning in business.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Nahal. Great presentation. If anyone has additional questions, feel free to DM Nahal on Twitter.